Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. I am your host, Uncivil Law, and we are here with oral arguments in the United States Supreme Court cases dealing with student loan forgiveness. As you will recall, the Biden administration put in place an executive order that would forgive student loan borrowers some amount of their debts that they had. The legal authority for this is somewhat questionable. The Biden administration is pointing to this thing called the HEROES Act, which was passed in the aftermath of September 11th, which allows the Secretary of Education to do things, and the total scope of the things is also somewhat questionable, so that's also to be decided, but allows them to do things in response to a national emergency. And so September 11th obviously would be a national emergency. And the idea being that certain people might be harmed by whatever the national emergency is. And the people in that place might have to have their debts forgiven or at least delayed or the interest waived or whatever it might be in the sense of some sort of equitable arrangement, right? We don't want to hold people responsible for their student loan debts when, basically the world's come to an end, kind of an idea. Fair enough. All right. So the Biden administration uses this authority, which is a little vague. And incidentally, I don't believe had ever been used by the administration, any administration, after it was passed. So I don't believe it's ever been used prior to COVID to relieve anyone of any debt of any description. So this law was passed for a specific reason in mind, September 11th, or at least something parallel to it, and then went forgotten for 20 years. And then the Biden administration, looking for some sort of legal justification for why they might be able to forgive all the student loan debts, said, hey, how about this thing called the HEROES Act, which says that for national emergencies, we can do this. And COVID's a national emergency. Okay, well, all right, that's the idea. So we've got problems all over the place. First of all, we've got, can the administration do this in the first place? Does this legal authority? Well, first of all, who gets to declare what the national emergency is? Is it just whatever the Secretary of Education says it is? Does it matter? Is that a reviewable decision in some way? When they do it, do they have to go through the Administrative Procedures Act? Do they have to follow that procedure, or is it something that exists outside the Administrative Procedures Act? Maybe they don't have to go through that formal process in sort of a rulemaking or quasi-rulemaking process. So is it just up to the Secretary to just declare it? Is it reviewable? And if they can do it, what can they do? Right? So assuming they can do the thing, what is the thing they can do? Do they have the right to delay? Do they have the right to restructure? Do they have the right to forgive? What is the scope of this authority? So those are legal problems number one. Legal problems number two is on the other end of this equation, is the people who are bringing this thing, their standing to bring this is questionable at best. I raised this issue immediately when we were reviewing this in long ago before it got to the Supreme Court, right? I was like, there's going to be some serious standing problems. How do you find someone who has standing to raise this complaint? And in the oral arguments, this has been an issue, that these people maybe don't have standing. And this, to my mind, is not in any sense a foregone conclusion in sort of this issue. I'm skeptical on the standing thing. I was skeptical from the start they're standing. And I'm skeptical now that they're standing. There might be, but I'm skeptical because it's like, trying to prove someone's been harmed by this is challenging at best. So anyways, we've got the question of, did the Biden administration do any illegal? And if so, can these people who are suing complain about the illegal? Do they have the right to complain about the illegal? And so both these questions are very much in the air, in my view, as we're going into this thing. So I'm skeptical on both ends. I'm skeptical that it's legal, and I'm skeptical that the people that are suing have the right to sue. I'm skeptical that the Supreme Court has the right to do anything about it. I'm skeptical on every single aspect of this thing. So it makes for a very interesting oral argument for that respect. All right. So we're going to do two arguments today. We got two for the price of one today. We've got Biden versus Nebraska and Department of Education versus Brown. Two arguments from two different groups of people that are related enough that we're going to cover them both. So let's talk about the facts of Biden versus Nebraska. In 2020, the then presidential candidate, Joseph Biden, promised to cancel up to $10,000 of federal student loan debt per borrower. After winning the election, the Biden administration announced its intent to forgive, via executive action, $10,000 in student loans for borrowers with annual incomes of less than $125,000. Nebraska and 5 other states challenged the forgiveness program, arguing that it violated separations of powers and the Administrative Procedures Act. So, separation of powers would be this isn't what Congress wrote. Administrative Procedures Act would be it is, but you went about it the wrong way. You didn't follow the proper process. The district court dismissed the challenge, finding the states lacked jurisdictional standing to sue. The Court of Appeals for 8th Circuit enjoined forgiveness program pending appeal. Question: do Nebraska and other states have standing to challenge the debt relief program? I am dubious. Does the student debt relief program exceed executive authority, or does it violate the Administrative Procedures Act? These are both very interesting questions. And we'll also be talking about today Department of Education versus Brown. Let me read you the facts of this case. Fulfilling one of then presidential candidates Joseph Biden's campaign promises, the Secretary of Education invoked his authority under the HEROES Act to create a loan forgiveness program in response to COVID-19 pandemic and under the idea of it being a national emergency. Those are the magic words of the statute. Under the program, a student borrower qualified for loan forgiveness if they make less than $125,000 individually or $250,000 if married and filing jointly, and they have direct Perkins or FFEL loans that were not commercially held. Qualified borrowers could receive up to $20,000 if they had Pell Grants, $10,000 otherwise. Myra Brown and Alexander Taylor both have student loans. Brown is ineligible for debt forgiveness under the program because her loans are commercially held, while Taylor is ineligible for the full $20,000 because he did not receive a Pell Grant. They challenged the loan forgiveness program, arguing that if Biden administration had followed proper procedure in adopting the plan, they would have been able to weigh in on the plan and urge for a plan that would have been more beneficial to them. The district court found the program was unconstitutional exercise of legislative power vested in Congress and issued a nationwide injunction. I'm also very skeptical of nationwide injunctions, as anyone who follows this program knows. But the district court did. The United States Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit declined to stay the injunction. Thus, the question, is the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness program unconstitutional? Yeah, I have questions on standing as to both these things. So we will take them in their respective turns. We will begin with Biden versus Nebraska. Let's go ahead and get started, and let's learn about what is happening in this case. And I have no audio in my ear. Why do I have no audio? That is disappointing. All that tee up and then no audio. What have I done wrong and how do I fix it? This is great news. This is just great news for me as a streamer. I look incompetent, possibly because I am incompetent. And I've got no audio. Great. Just great. Okay, that works. So it's not my speakers that are a problem. Let me try opening up a new window and see if that solves the problem. It's not okay. I want things to work. I have no audio. I don't think it's on my end. Your argument. Okay, it's not working in Chrome for some reason, but it works in Edge. So I guess we'll just play it in Edge and call it. I can't play it in Edge. I need to play it in Chrome because this browser only supports Chrome based audio. So it has to work in Chrome. if it's going to work at all. And I have no audio in Chrome. I can't share window audio. I can only share Chrome tab audio or entire screen audio. And to share entire screen audio, I have to share my entire screen, which means you'd literally see everything on my screen, including me, twice. And that's not going to work. Yes, you heard the edge audio because it was being played through my microphone, because at the moment it was being played through my microphone. But you weren't you so you're hearing the audio through my computer speakers picked up on my microphone. I'm going to break something. It's not good enough. The audio is not good enough to play through the microphone. Shit. Why the fuck are you not playing audio? That works. That works. So it's just not playing this particular audio for this thing. Something is stopping the audio from playing. Maybe I have an extension that's interfering or somehow. Active tabs playing audio. Well, I give up. What do you guys want to talk about? I don't know what the problem is. For some reason, so it's not my browser, it's not the thing, because it works fine as long as it's not from Oye, and Oye works fine if it's in a different browser. When I play it, it's not going to be good enough. The audio won't be good enough. It'll be distorted. It'll be distorted and shitty. It's not good enough. The audio source is coming from behind the microphone. This is a cardioid microphone. So it's not designed to pick up audio from behind the microphone. So the audio will sound shitty and tinny and crappy, and I'm not going to do it. Not for a 2-hour oral argument. I do it for like I do it for a minute or something. Like if I want to play a small clip or something, I do it for like a minute. But I'm not going to do it for 2 hours straight. Well, I don't know what the problem is. On the plus side, I had a nice day at the gym. So that worked out well for me. I didn't post it, but I did go to the gym today. Hence the workout shirt. I wasn't gonna make it like a big deal of it and stuff, but I did go to the gym. And so I got my workout on. So that was nice in my continuing quest to become healthier. Just got notes for jury duty tips. Sure. Answer all questions posed to you honestly. If chosen, assess the case based on the evidence presented. There's your tips for the day. What kind of workouts do you do? I do strength training. I use this app called Fitbod to do my workouts. It's like an AI based fitness app. I will show you. I will not show you because for some reason I can't get rid of my gym that I use and I'm not going to dox myself. So just take my word for it. It's an AI fitness app and you log your workout, and you log what you do, and it keeps track of what muscles you've been using. And you can like tell it like what you want to do, like you want to rotate muscles or muscle groups, or you want to do PPL or different workout schedules that it'll do. And I just have it set to like all full body. And basically it chooses the most rusted muscles and gives me workouts based on my preferences of what I've done in the past. And then I can say like I want to change things and keeps track of it and I log it and you know, so forth and so on. Planet Fitness has an awesome 30-minute circuit workout. It's not too bad. No, no student loan cases because I can't get the audio to work. We have failed. We have failed horribly in our mission as a streamer. Once again, I failed as a streamer. I have failed you, and I feel like a jackass. And I don't know what the problem is, and it's something probably simple, and it's nothing's working, and I hate it, and I want it to end. Also, an Austin takeover a few days ago. I don't know what you're referring to. I inspired you to go to law school. Well, I'm not taking any responsibility for that decision. That one's on you, my friend. I am disclaiming any responsibility for inspiring you or anyone else to go to law school. That's a totally you decision. So don't come back and blame me. How did my tax liability situation work out? It didn't. I went to H&R Block and I met with this woman whose English left something to be desired and did not inspire me with confidence. And then I asked how much it was, and the woman who had brought me in the first place gave me one number. Then she gave me a completely different number and said, "Here's our price estimate." I said, "What do you mean estimate?" It's like, "Well, it depends on what is." It's like, "Well, this is our starting price." "Well, how much can it be?" It's like, "Well, it'll probably be not more than $400." I'm like, "That was the wrong answer." Probably is the wrong answer. What do you mean? Well, I have discretion and stuff, and then I can give money. I'm like, no, it didn't inspire me with confidence. So yeah. You like my shirt? It's just a standard workout shirt. Nothing fancy. It's just a dry, fit dry shirt and all the rest of it. I have improv tonight. I have improv classes. We can just hang out and talk for a while since not audio's not working. H&R Block sucks. Well, okay. Thank you for your thoughtful input on that issue. Need a professional CPA. I need someone who's not going to charge me a fortune. That's what I need. And probably is not a confidence inspiring word. Exactly. Yeah. So I have improv tonight. It's my second improv class in like 3 years. I'm very excited about that. Probably be about 400. Yeah. That's, yeah. Fortunately, I have a family member who's an accountant, so I'll send it to them and they'll do it for free. So, yeah. Will I please try again in the future? Yes, I will. I will try again in the future. The woman did not inspire me with a lot of confidence. Like I didn't feel like we had a good communication system going on too. So yeah. There are states that will allow you to take the bar exam without needing to go to law school. Yes. Virginia has an apprenticeship program. California has an apprenticeship program. New York technically, I think, does, although you technically have to go to 1 year of law school in New York. There are a couple schools that will let you take the bar exam without going to law school. The only disadvantage of doing that is then you're stuck in that state as opposed to graduating from an ABA accredited law school like I did. See, I can take the bar in every state. At least as possible because I went to an ABA accredited school and they're accredited and so therefore they're accredited everywhere. If you go a state specific route, then fine, but you'll be stuck. You won't be able to practice anywhere else because, well, you know, you went through the state specific route as opposed to a generally applicable route. But yes, Virginia has an apprenticeship program. California has an apprenticeship program. New York, I think, technically does with 1 year of law school. I'm not sure why you'd only go to 1 year of law school and then drop out, but you can technically under the rules. And there are a couple other states, I think, besides. Yeah. I see the jury's interviews on Murdaugh. Yes. Thoughts? Sounds like a typical jury. Impact on appeal? Zero. The jurors' interviews have zero impact on appeal. They're just jurors just talking about their experience and how they went about their deliberation process. There's nothing in there that raises any issues at all. Zero. So, no. What are you gonna do? Try to argue that they prayed and that was improper influence or something? Bullshit, right? It's like, so yeah. 45 minutes is enough time to fully consider 6 weeks of evidence. Well, they did get to consider it as it was happening. Like, it wasn't the first time they were considering the evidence because they literally got to consider it as it was occurring. So, 45 minutes enough to consider 6 weeks of testimony? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there's no set rule. It's like, if you were set, you know, and you thought guilt beyond a reasonable doubt and nothing really moved you off that position. If you thought guilt beyond a reasonable doubt at the end of the state's case and nothing moved you off that position, then you're like, well, I was done at the end of the state's case. So, I'm done. Don't need any consideration time. Am I a middle child? No. That's a strange question. Why do you ask? Louis Rossman moved to Austin so I could collab with him. I have talked with him. We had dinner together, and he also did me a personal solid. He and his staff did me a favor. It was a pretty big favor, incidentally, too. I was messing with my computer again because I wasn't sure that I did the cooling thing correct. And so I was messing with it and I tried to remove the cooler from the CPU. And when I did that, I lifted the entire I lifted the CPU out of the I lifted the CPU out of the motherboard by the cooler without unlatching it first. And I bent the pins of the CPU and also got thermal paste in the motherboard. So great. So I thought it was a power supply problem. I thought I knocked loose a power supply. And so Lewis said, why don't you come down to I was like, can you help me out with this problem? Lewis said, why don't you come down? We'll take a look at it. I've got a guy who's really good at this. A guy who's really good at it takes a look at it's like you've bent the pins on your CPU. So you're gonna need a new motherboard and a new CPU. Costing me $700. I don't really have $700. He's like, well, you've messed up your CPU pretty bad, and you've also messed up the motherboard pretty bad. So, but I could try bending the CPU pins back into place and cleaning out, and I have to manually like make new holes in the motherboard or like clean out the holes in the motherboard for the CPU pins. And I've never had this work, but I could try. And he did, and it worked. He bent the CPU pins back into place and cleaned the gunk out of the motherboard and put it back together. And presto changer, the computer is booting. I'm talking to it on you right now. So he did me a pretty hard. He did me a pretty hard solid, saving me like $700 of money. So, I mean, the guys. I mean, it's he's got the equipment for it though. Like he's got the the really nice microscope, and all the things. So I mean, he's got the equipment to be able to do it. But yeah. So Lewis Rossman's, and I wanted to do something nice for him. Yeah, yeah. Lou, I wanted to do something nice for him because like you can come down and just tip him. It's like, can I take you out to lunch? It's like, no, I'm good. I don't want lunch or anything. I was like, I gotta do something for you. I left $100 tip. They didn't charge me anything. They charged me zero. So Lewis Rossman did me a pretty big solid. His staff, his very professional staff, rebent my CPU pins into place and cleaned up my motherboard and re-put everything together for the low price of zero. So I left them $100 tip. It was pretty nice. So yeah. So Lewis Rossman did me a pretty huge solid. Now I'm afraid to ever turn it off. Just don't screw with it. Don't ever touch it. Don't touch it. Don't even breathe on it. Right? Don't touch it. Don't ever breathe on it. Also, they mocked my case because they said like your case is too small, which to be fair it is. It's like yes, all the parts technically fit, technically, but your case is too small for this GPU that's in there. And so it's just too small. But everything is working, it's running. Don't touch it. Don't even think about it. Everything's working, just leave it alone. Just sit on the floor. At least the magic smoke didn't escape. The magic smoke didn't escape, and as long as the magic smoke doesn't escape, the CPU will still turn on. So all is well. All is well. I tried kicking it. Very much no, Lee. I am not kicking the computer. The computer's going to sit on the floor very nicely and just like just sit there and be happy and not just do its computer thing. It's very very happy on the floor. Yeah, yeah. It's very very happy on the floor. And heaven forbid I ever have to replace like a hard drive or something because if I want more storage at this point, maybe I'll just get a NAS so I don't have to open the case and put in another hard drive. On the floor, it is on the floor. Yeah. You think it should be on some sort of CPU stand or something? Get a CPU stand that it could sit on. That would just mean like it's on a precarious place where it could be tipped over. There is no carpet. You could get a job. I do have a job. I'm doing my job right now. How are oral arguments going? They're not. They're not. This stream will become private or members only or something because it's a disappointment to us all, but at least we can hang out for a moment and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's hardwood floor, so it'll be fine. My lighting looks good. Thank you. Yeah. And my stream deck isn't working. My random lights button isn't random lighting. Mrrr. Wrong with oral arguments, we couldn't get the audio to work. We failed. We catastrophically failed. Yeah. Money is tight at the moment. I'm hoping this channel will really pick up this year and we'll be able to really grow the channel and bring in some extra income at the moment because right now, money is tight. Am I going to cross paths with Nate? Not on this particular trip, but probably. But he's looking to possibly come down this way, and so if he does, we might be neighbors. We'll see. "303 creative." That's a good case. Now we're seeing who's been here the longest. Okay, in chat. That's all right. Thank you for turning on to Dr. Jart's red collecting SPF lotion. You're welcome. Well, I could do something for somebody. Roll through the mic. No, it won't really work. Won't really work. The computer monitor is on the wrong side of the mic. It won't. The audio won't be good enough. The quality is not good enough. What are my CPU temps? Let's see. That's 67 right now, so they're doing fine. Student loan. What do I think about it? Well, I gave a whole preview as we were getting into it. We haven't done the oral argument. I'll have to redo the preview again if and when we ever get the oral argument working. But what do I think about it? I think I have questions all over the place. I have question marks all over the place in my mind. The Biden administration's legal authority is questionable, but it's arguable. It is, especially given the relevant standards that exist, unfortunately, for better or worse, right? Given how much discretion is given to administrative agencies. So is COVID what was the exact phrase in the statute? An emergency, was it an emergency situation or emergency? I forget. There's an exact language in the statute, but it's an emergency, whatever. And so is COVID that? Is it that like when they did it in 2020? And the problem is, of course, well, the question as always is who gets to decide. And national emergency sounds right. So the question is COVID a national emergency in 2022? No, the real question is who gets to decide if COVID is a national emergency in 2022? That's the real question it is. Like Congress didn't apparently give any guidelines really, and the language they do have is kind of dubious. From a straight textualist perspective, which I tend to favor, like a straight textualist perspective, I think the Biden administration actually has some pretty decent arguments. Because if the secretary, Congress said, well, in the event of national emergency, you can do this, then didn't really limit that beyond that. And so is that unconstitutional delegation? No, not really. Is it proper to determine this as a national emergency? I guess. Now there are other aspects of the statute that might get you around, but that particular language I'm not so sure about from a textual perspective. So the Biden administration's argument is non-frivolous, And then on the other side of the question, I have real issues on the whole standing issue, which I raised immediately when we were talking about this when it happened, when the Biden administration did it. Is when the Biden administration did, I'm like, there's standing problems. Who can bring complaints? Who can bring a complaint? And so the Supreme Court's still asking that question. Well, can you guys bring a complaint? I'm not sure the answer is yes at all. So I don't know what the answer is. Like I was interested. I'm as interested in the doesn't FEMA regulate everything under national emergency? No. No, FEMA regulates the things that FEMA is given authority to regulate. Other agencies have authority to do stuff too. With respect to student loans, it's the Secretary of Education who has authority to do that because that's who Congress gave the authority to. So, no. Yeah. If impacted person can't be found, states should be able to challenge federal action in place of a hypothetical person. No, you're kind of going to the idea of court of in local apprentice standing, which doesn't really work for states. Have we been under some type of national emergencies for like 50 years? Perhaps. I couldn't really speak to what emergencies do or do not exist, or whether or not those declarations are proper. And the question is, who gets to decide? Is always the relevant question. If I can't find someone who's impacted the law, can I just make one up? No, you have to find someone who's impacted. So no. They said that the LA development may have impact on without a crystal ball case. Possibly, because some of the stuff that's going on with the dancers in 7M being in lawsuits, it potentially goes to show some ideas of underlying truth to some of the stuff. So it might help Katie Joy in some of her defenses in terms of actual truth. Or so there's possibilities. How's my friend Hogue doing? Hogue and I aren't really very close personal friends. We've never been really close personal friends. I don't have anything against him. But we don't really outside of talk really much. Um, so I don't really know. But he seems to be doing well from anything I can tell. I have nothing against Hogue. I like him. Just for whatever reason, I guess I'm not his cup of tea. I mean, there are members of the law tube community that have his cell phone number. I am not one of them. So, you know, it is what it is. He's alive. That's true. That is a plus. Hogue did have a stream. That's true. And he's looking really good. I mean, not that I'm able to judge such things. I don't know what I would expect, but it seems like he's doing pretty good. I think he's doing great for where he's at. Seems to be doing fine. Which live case am I covering next? I don't know. It depends as things develop. What looks good. You want my phone number? I don't think he's a D-back. I don't think that. Daybell is definitely a strong possibility, although it would be Valo. Yeah, Valo at this point, not Daybell, but yeah. All right. Well, am I gonna grow the beard out? No, I was thinking about shaving it today, actually. For my Daybell was severed. That's right. I was thinking about shaving it today for my improv class. I have no interest in covering the Nick Rekieta lawsuit. There's nothing interesting in it for me. Lawyer React stuff has been good, yeah. So we started a new Attorney Chom and I and a whole bunch of other lawyers started a new channel called Attorney Reacts. So I did a video for that channel, and we'll be doing more channels. What I think of the Harry Potter game, the gameplay itself is not that interesting to me personally, but the world is very, very good. I think the world is good, the story is good, the voiceover is good, the attention to detail is very, very high. The gameplay itself leaves a little bit to be desired in my view. It's a little simplistic, but it's fun. How tall is Attorney Tom? Lol. Not gonna tell. I wouldn't destroy the mystique. But I think My Cousin Vinny's pretty accurate. There are parts of it that are accurate. There are parts of it that are accurate. All right, I'm gonna sign off. This will become members only. Sorry for the problems here. We will try again another day. Did I ever play Diablo? Not since the original. It's been forever, man, since I played Diablo. Uh, I'm gonna sign off for now. I wish you all well. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Love you lots. Bye.